So the Canada Your Story, My Story project grew out of a desire to get the kids to care about their work. So as a teacher, you know that if you want kids to do good work, they have to care about what it is that they're working on. So I thought that the best way to get them to care about it would be to make immigration come to life for them. So it's not read chapter 9 in your textbook and answer these 3 questions. It's go out and discover who immigrants are when they come to Canada, how their life changes, how they get here, why they decide to come here. So we partnered with the Calgary Catholic Immigration Society. The students got to meet recent immigrants to Canada. We met over 3 occasions. They formed real bonds with their immigrants. They heard amazing stories. Some of the kids came back to class and said, my immigrant walked across Kenya to get here. And then they were looking up how far of a distance that would be and trying to imagine what it would be like to walk across an entire country so that you could leave. One of the boys came back with a story of an immigrant who said, I used to be funny, but I'm not funny in English. And that really resonated with him because he was a class clown and tried to imagine what it would be like to go somewhere where you couldn't be funny. And so when you talk to the kids about how quality of life changes through immigration, this is a classic example of bringing something to life for them. This boy's life would be radically altered if he wasn't the funny one anymore. And so he developed a real understanding of how life changes through immigration, how quality of life is altered. We had a student encounter an immigrant who was tortured. He was from Sudan. That was a bit of a harrowing experience for her, but she suddenly understood why it was necessary to take in refugees in Canada, that it wasn't something that we did out of pity, that it was about compassion and wanting to change the world and make things better for people. We had a student who encountered a woman who was kidnapped in Brazil and held for ransom, and she suddenly came to a really deep understanding of how lucky she was to live in Canada and what it meant to live in a safe place and to not be afraid to walk out of your house. So all of these things helped our students come to a deeper appreciation and understanding of what immigrants go through when they come to Canada, and also why immigration is important, that it benefits both the immigrant and the country that receives them, because what they discovered in all of the immigrants were these really positive, happy, outgoing, industrious people who were glad to be in Canada and wanted to make a good life for themselves. And they could see that making a good life for themselves made our country better. And the final part of it was that they felt such a responsibility to tell these stories well and in a powerful way. They looked at the Canada Your Story, My Story digital story as a present, as a gift, as something that they were giving to their immigrant as a thank you for sharing their story. But also they understood that they could use technology to tell important stories on behalf of people who maybe didn't either have the access to the technology or who didn't have the English skills now that they're in Canada to tell their story. So it was like this double weight on them. It was a present, but it was also this big responsibility. And so for a month, they just worked tirelessly on their digital stories. They were sending versions of their digital story to their immigrant for their approval. When they came back for the return visit, they showed them their rough drafts, and it kind of became a bit of a collaboration between the immigrant and our student, and that was really amazing for them as well. And they took such pride in what they did, and everything was done so carefully, right down to designing CD covers to go along with the movie. And they were selecting images and choosing color and giving titles and just really, really thinking about how they could produce the best product possible. And it was almost like the learning happened, but it was in the background for them, that by concentrating on creating the best story possible, they learned about creating powerful scripts. They learned about choosing important details. They learned about what is a powerful image. They learned about choosing appropriate music to go in the background of your movie. But it was so organic that it was almost like it wasn't happening in terms of here's what a metaphor is. They were looking for ways to use metaphor in their script to make their script more interesting so that more people would want to listen to it. It's the best project I've ever done.